Baldur's Gate 3 is in its initial early access stages, which makes it kind of hard to do a traditional game review. However, I've done a couple videos on this game in the past, probably like 95 or so, holy shit. So I figured I'd share some of my thoughts, not focusing so much on bugs or things that are going to obviously be fixed, changed, or added, but more so focusing on the foundation of this turn-based RPG and how I think it's going to ultimately turn out on its full release. Welcome to the Forgotten Realms, to the beautiful but deadly continent of Faerun, where Baldur's Gate is located. But like Baldur's Gate 2, you're not going to really see much of Baldur's Gate. In fact, you won't see it at all in early access. We're definitely headed that way according to the game, but I wouldn't put it past any developer in this genre to sidetrack our quest even further into magic mushroom heaven. And hell, I'm not even complaining. On a real note, I'm very excited to see the city when we finally get to see it. The anticipation is pretty crazy. Those of you who have played the original Baldur's Gate games or read books that took place in Baldur's Gate, I think we share a similar feeling in that it's going to be a truly special moment the day we get to walk through the basilisk gates and into the city. I have to say that I owe this feeling of anticipation to Larian Studios. The game so far is visually stunning, and I find myself just standing in one area for long periods of time. I oftentimes find myself trying to pull the camera up a little bit more to get an eye's view of the land and the sky, and then I get pissed off because I can't. And then I remember that this is more so an isometric game and that we're blessed to even be able to zoom into a third-person view. And then I forgive Larian, and then I go back to trying to pull the camera back up. I absolutely love the environment that Larian has created, and don't even get me started with going into the Underdark. Stepping foot into the Underdark for the first time in early access is a gaming moment that I'm likely not to forget for generations to come. Alright, that's a little exaggerated, but I won't forget for a couple months. Larian's attention to detail and the power behind their large team and expensive engine is evident in early access, and honestly, even if the game kinda sucked, I probably would encourage some D&D or fantasy fans in general to buy the game and just run around and take it all in. Now let's talk about mechanics and gameplay. Those of you familiar with 5th edition D&D will catch on quickly to many of the rules and mechanics behind the game. If you're obsessed with D&D, you'll probably be pissed off that everything's not exactly like 5th edition. If you don't play D&D, you'll probably be pissed off that it is like 5th edition. And those of you in the middle will have a damn good time. All jokes aside, it seems like Larian is onto something good here. Overall, the current early access game's mechanics worked well enough for me to really enjoy my playthroughs, although it definitely wasn't perfect. The game, however, was playable and enjoyable, and I think it's in a good place, in fact a better place than I probably could have hoped for the initial launch of early access. There are many things that need to be tweaked, changed, or added, but that's the beautiful thing about an early access game with a company that we can trust. I have faith in Larian Studios to make the necessary changes, and they certainly seem to have the team and resources to pull changes off that other companies wouldn't even be able to do. In terms of actual gameplay, on my gaming rig with a 2070 Super, it has been pretty smooth. It's not janky or anything like that. Even the FPS drops were not that noticeable for myself, however I can't speak for others. Those of you who have had problems, I would assume that most of that will be sorted out as time goes on. Either that or your computer just sucks. I also did a full playthrough on Google Stadia, and it ran pretty well over there as well, minus the Druid's Enclave, but that could be fixed by now. Now let's talk about combat. So far in early access, there's only one difficulty for all, and it has seemed to satisfy every difficulty level I've seen on the spectrum, at least on my first playthrough. There were a couple fights that were far too easy and honestly a little boring, others that were very intense, and some that downright murdered me and left me wondering if I should go back to killing bots in COD. I very much have enjoyed the combat, but like we talked about earlier, there are things that need to be tweaked and changed. There seems to be too many ways to cheese fights, or use mechanics that would make what would be a really intense fight drop dramatically in difficulty with just one single action. Shove. Master did a saving throw. Not gonna be. Hey, Bernard! Bernardo! Say goodbye to Bernard's brother. Peace out. Get the hell out of my freaking tower. Some combat encounters, when fought on even ground with your opponents, end up being really intense close battles that could turn into long-lasting heroic stories. But the moment that you set your party up on high ground, it becomes a game of find the star on the Christmas tree. But overall, I can tell that we're starting off on the right foot, the foundation feels pretty good, and it's a hell of a lot of fun. There were many good combat encounters in early access, and the things that need to be looked into and possibly changed don't seem like they're impossible tasks to ask for a company like Larian. If you're completely new to D&D stuff, you will be confused in combat, but the overall system is not that bad once you learn the basics. It seems like Larian is already adding more tutorial type features to early access, which will certainly help. Onto the story, which might be the best part of this game so far. I have learned a lot of D&D lore over the years, but after 3 playthroughs of early access, I still can't predict anything with any sort of confidence. There's a variety of factions that come into play, some more familiar than others. You've got evidence of many of the D&D gods everywhere you go. We've got the Absolute, the 9 Hells, and of course the evil space octopuses, the Mind Flayers. The Mind Flayers alone are an extremely interesting race, and then mix them in with the 9 Hells and the gods, you got yourself one hell of a story. I can sense a deep complexity behind the plot, but I also see it all coming together nicely in the future with the full game. Each origin character has their own stories going on as well, some better than others. It's hard to judge though this early on. They will all react differently to elements of the main plot, making your party formation have a fairly big impact on the stories that unfold around you. Lastly, let's talk about permutations and replayability. Each of my playthroughs have all turned out pretty differently from each other, showing how much work is truly going into this game. The amount of permutations is actually incredible, and I think that this aspect of the game in particular is going to help shape the future and raise the standards of many upcoming RPGs. There are not many games out there like this, sometimes due to limited resources, but many times due to companies just not wanting to spend the time and money because they think they'll get our money either way, and many times unfortunately they do. But Larian is taking on this insane task and so far pulling it off. I have played early access probably more than most, and I still hear of other players' playthroughs and how certain events unfolded very differently from my own experience. And if it wasn't for YouTube live chat, I would have missed at least 2 fairly big combat encounters in their own respective areas, even after 3+ playthroughs. Larian gets an A+ in this category, and I can't wait to see this further expanded upon on the full release. It deserves praise, and I'm definitely going to give it. I encourage everyone to play through early access multiple times, and even if you don't change your race and class, if you take slightly different actions, things are going to unfold differently. To summarize everything, I definitely recommend early access for those of you who enjoy participating in games in this stage of development. As time goes on, Larian will be adding more classes and races, and to say that I honestly want to try them all says something about a game. Keep playing, guys, keep providing feedback, and I think we got ourselves an RPG that will stick with us for years to come. Thanks so much for watching, guys. As I said, it was kind of hard to do a review on a game that's in early access. I saw a bunch of articles out there like bashing things and doing, I don't know what people expect for a game that's in early access with a company that says they're willing to change things. I guess we'll find out. But guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. I really appreciate it. I do all sorts of content on this channel, ranging from live streams to game reviews to game tutorials and much more. In fact, I live stream on this channel Monday, Wednesday, Friday, right in the middle of the day Eastern time, typically between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. If I don't know, sometimes I don't actually stick with that schedule, but that's generally what I do. I'd love to see some of you guys there, and also randomly on the weekend. Have a great night, guys. I don't even know what I'm saying for the script anymore. It's kind of just off the cuff shit. Till next time.